Now, much has been made about this black backpack that was found. Some people believe that it might have belonged to Maura Murray. Okay, so we're going to finally go back to the beginning, the earliest mentions of the backpack, exactly where it was found, how it was found, by whom was it found, and what has become of it to just finally settle this issue with the black backpack once and for all. Because, of course, this is MINDSHOCK, and we are exhaustive and comprehensive, upturning every stone in every case we take a look at. We went over the black backpack early on. I mean, this was in the first couple episodes, probably where it was mentioned. I mean, it's very, very weird because, like most things in the Maura Murray case, it can't be nailed down definitively. But just the quick rundown, and again, Folk is involved in this backpack saga, so of course nothing he says can be taken seriously. I don't know if he's got some kind of mental issues or whatever, but we have to keep that in mind. Now, there is some verification, of course, that the backpack was found by people other than Folk, but he had this website, notwithoutperil.com. I believe that was the original source of information on the backpack. This is just a quick post of his on the Maura Murray subreddit, the controlled subreddit, the sham subreddit with the sham moderators who just narrative steer. But either way, someone actually posted about this just days ago regarding how Jeffrey Strelzin is suspicious, and he would not confirm whether the black backpack was found to be Maura's. And we're going to go into issues with that as well. So this is Folk's post here. A man named Tom Davies found a black backpack at the Pemi Overlook in 2004. He thought it might be Maura's, so he reported it to a state trooper on the side of the road. In 2013 or 2014, Davies posted on my site, notwithoutperil.com, asking whether anyone had ever recovered the backpack. A contributor on my site, JWBNH, who lived in Lincoln, New Hampshire at the time, went to the exact spot where Davies had found the backpack in 2004, and in 2013 or 14 found a black backpack in the exact same spot. He reported it to the cold case unit, and the cold case unit went and got it. This was all written about in a Boston Magazine article. I have heard that when asked whether the backpack was Maura's, Strelzin said something like, "Nothing confirmed to be Maura's has ever been found." Okay. So, wow. Let's get a little deeper here. So several years ago, this was, of course, being discussed. Some posts here by various trolls and narrative steerers on the Maura Murray Sham subreddit, but obviously even a broken clock is right twice a day, so some of the info here seems to be accurate regarding the black backpack. A black backpack was found on a popular scenic overlook next to public restrooms, but it was not the aka Maura's backpack as you refer to it here. And again, with these trolls and steers, somehow they magically know for sure all these things, even when law enforcement themselves couldn't definitively verify that. The White Mountains attract tourists. Tourists bring a variety of things with them, backpacks being a common item. Oh, really? Wait a second. Are black backpacks popular not only for college students, but for hikers and tourists? Say it isn't so. I mean, tourists often forget things and leave them behind, in this case next to a public restroom. Finally, Maura did not own the sole black backpack to ever exist. Really? I'm pretty positive Maura didn't venture 30 miles east through Lincoln and then up to Pemigewasset Overlook and then dropped her backpack to be found years later. So you can see how these trolls, steers, and obfuscators, they hallucinate, how they're pretty positive of what Maura did or didn't do and where she was or wasn't for an unsolved cold case. I mean, these goofs really are good for a laugh. So if anybody wants to see some Dunning-Kruger stylings, the Maura Murray subreddit is an excellent subreddit for that. Few more posts here. Episode 27 of the Missing Maura Murray podcast is a Q&A with the Assistant Attorney General's office. In that episode, they confirmed that nothing belonging to Maura has ever been recovered. From that, we infer that the black backpack was not hers. The second person who saw the backpack that day was here, and even he, I think, confirmed it wasn't hers. Well, how would he know? Okay. Another post by Folk here. Deranged or not, mentally disabled or not, I mean, he does get quite involved in some of his posts. The black backpack issue was interesting. A man, Tom Davies, commented on notwithoutperil.com site. His comment was an older version of the site, so it doesn't appear on the current site. It can be found via the Wayback Machine. In 2005, Davies said he went to the Pemigewasset Overlook and saw a black backpack in a particular spot that he thought could be Maura's. Her missing posters at the time had a picture of a black backpack on it that Sharon had matched to hers. He called the state police then, but he wasn't sure whether they had picked the backpack up. Therefore, the reason he posted on Not Without Peril was to ask whether anyone there could confirm that the backpack had actually been picked up by state police. So apparently they just totally ignore any and all tips to missing persons cases because apparently they didn't pick it up. But continuing on here, Davies was thoroughly vetted. The email address he used when posting on the site was his business email address, and it confirmed all the info that he provided, such as having a daughter about Maura's age. And again, this is coming from Folk, so obviously nothing this individual says can be trusted. But so who knows how vetted this individual was, especially if he's claiming that the individual was thoroughly vetted. I mean, that's more evidence that this individual might have been another concoction of folks like many others, but who knows? Or simply just another troll. I mean, just because someone uses an email address from their actual place of work where they do work, that doesn't mean the rest of their story is true. I mean, how much of a clueless goof does one need to be? I mean, obviously, Folk matches that clueless goof description because, again, just because you're using your business address and you have a daughter that is the same age as Maura's, that's not proof that you found any black backpack anywhere, but apparently Folk thinks it is. Anyway, continuing on here, 8 years later, in 2013, JWB offered to go to the exact spot that Davies had described to see whether the backpack he described was still there. So 8 years later, so it takes 8 years for this to be corroborated. He found a black backpack in the same spot and called the authorities, who confirmed that the backpack that JWB had found in 2013 had been collected. Okay. All right, so only in the Maura Murray case do we have a near decade-long saga regarding recovering a black backpack that seems to match the description in the missing persons poster of Maura Murray. Now, obviously, many people could have had that backpack. But if this indeed was Maura's and there was something recoverable from it, I mean, obviously, it being a year or less than a year old, that would have been a good time to get it. But apparently law enforcement is just not concerned with doing their job. And it took close to a decade for someone to recover this black backpack. Now, again, let's say this backpack has nothing to do with Maura. I mean, this is just absolutely astonishing. Mind-shocking, if you will, that this is how things are done in the Maura Murray case. I mean, it's just mind-boggling. You don't see this in other cases. Okay, so now that we went over this article in Boston Mag where they verified the existence of the black backpack, so this is not just a figment of folks' imagination like many things are. Okay, continuing on here from Folks' post on the sham subreddit r/Maura Murray. Now, it's entirely possible that the backpack JWB found was a different backpack from the one that Davies had found in that spot. As far as whether it was Maura's, after sitting outside for 9 years, I don't know how they would have matched it to Maura except by its contents. In other words, I don't see how they would have extracted DNA from a backpack that would have been out in the wilderness for 9 years. When JWB found it, it was just a flattened block. The bottles of alcohol that Maura had on her were obviously not in the backpack. So while I don't see how the backpack could ever have been confirmed to not be Maura's, it was never confirmed to be Maura's. I do think that JWB did the right thing. If anyone finds a black backpack in New Hampshire in the wilderness, they should call the authorities. I hope That clears some of this up. Some more posts here by some other known steers and obfuscators. Just to confirm, police were making an educated guess. She took the backpack with her when she left the Saturn because it's an object she owned that was not found following her disappearance, correct? Or is there additional evidence she had it with her? Folk responded here, there is a single report that a student saw her leaving campus with her backpack over her shoulder. This student has never been identified publicly. But the black backpack was mentioned in the early missing posters, which is what made Tom Davies contact authorities and later the Not Without Peril site. And again, let's assume this sighting is legitimate. So Maura's on campus with her backpack. Okay, how does that put her in New Hampshire? I mean, again, it's just the illogicality in the Maura Murray case is just really unique. Other posts here from users since deleted. It seems hard to believe any backpack would remain untouched for 9 years. Someone would have stolen it, tossed it in the garbage, etc. Or maybe even animals just like ripping it apart, or even wind. I mean, how much does a backpack with nothing in it weigh during storms on mountaintops in New Hampshire? I mean, this is all really bizarre. More posts here. Here's what JWB said when he got back from finding a backpack, which may or may not have been the backpack. I just got back from the Pemi Overlook and I found the black backpack, but there was nothing inside it. It was frozen solid. The only visible markings I could see was motor bags. The bag also had a clear plastic on the backside. I also saw a can of Bud in a blue koozie that said Alcoa. There is a huge rock directly behind the bathroom, and that is where I entered. It is very, very dense and really not a path. I almost immediately set my eyes on the backpack. The only other thing that I saw was a Tupperware sort of thing, blue top, that was under the shelf of the rock, and I also saw one of those Nestle-type plastic bottles. Large. I mean, is it possible that a black backpack just remains untouched for nearly a decade on a New Hampshire mountaintop? A popular area. Wouldn't it have been, I mean, isn't there some kind of cleaning that goes on? I mean, there's a park service. I mean, this is all really weird. Only in the Maura Murray case would this even be a thing. I mean, it's just so weird. Okay, Folk posted this. I went and found Davies' actual comments. 1, I have a question unrelated to the picture, but decided to post it here because it's the most recent thread. What color was Maura's backpack? 2, I ask because a year after Maura disappeared, I found a black backpack in the woods behind the bathrooms at the Pemigewasset Overlook. I needed to relieve myself and the bathrooms were occupied, so I went into the woods behind them and found it in a very secluded spot. Okay, that makes a little bit more sense. I examined the contents and decided to leave it there and call the police when I got into cell coverage area. I saw a New Hampshire trooper parked on the side of Route 12 on my way home, so I stopped and told him what I had found and where to find it. I gave him my name and phone number and asked that he contact me if he found it. He never did, and I figured that they wouldn't release any info anyway. So this officer didn't do his job, or did he do his job? Did this trooper report it and then nothing was done from the report? Or did the trooper not even report it because he just doesn't care about missing persons cases? Being a father with several daughters, I've been haunted by Maura's disappearance and have come to the conclusion that Maura probably stopped a passing car to get a ride out of there quickly and was abducted by an opportunistic sicko. There is an abundance of sex offenders and predators up here in North Country. My heart goes out to Fred Murray and her family and friends. I have 2 more questions. Was Maura a smoker? Also, what kind of beer did she drink? 3, thanks for the reply. When I looked into the backpack, I saw a pack of cigarettes, Marlboro, and a can of beer, Budweiser. There were some other items, a lighter, and other things that I can't accurately remember, but hopefully the state troopers have it in case it's connected to the investigation. Here's the thing, though. Another aside. If that really was Maura's backpack, and it was taken from UMass or from wherever, if she was at the staged accident scene from there, the man smoking the cigarette took it. And then now his beer can and his cigarettes were there. Were those items DNA tested? But if nobody even bothered looking for the backpack for 9 years and then that stuff was no longer there, how could they DNA test it? So who knows what could have happened if they actually found it and tested it at the time it was first discovered. Continuing on here, what is the significance of the A-frame house? I have long wondered if the camp-type homes in the mile or so east of the accident site could have belonged to someone involved in this. I have seen some creepy guys outside some of them along Route 112, and I wonder if investigators had used dogs to sniff around those places shortly after her disappearance. 4, yes, the cigarette pack I saw was red and white. 5, when I found the black backpack, I thought to myself that it probably wasn't a color a woman would buy, but thought it could possibly be connected. I thought it was very strange that it was just left there. 6, I don't remember enough about what was in the backpack, and I was being careful not to disturb it too much in case it was evidence. That's the reason I left it there too. You know what's weird though? Would that be someone's first random thought? This backpack is evidence? Wouldn't you think some random person just left it there? What did he automatically assume this was Maura Murray's backpack? So he's taking a whiz at a tourist spot 30 miles from the staged accident scene in Haverhill, and he automatically just thinks, oh, this is probably Maura Murray's backpack. This is probably evidence, so let me not disturb it so much. I mean, that's kind of weird. I mean, this almost smells of some kind of folk hoax or something where he pretended to be this person to do this. But I don't know. Folk's got an interesting track record when it comes to this kind of stuff. 7, I tried to impress upon the trooper that it was worth checking out, and he said he would. Maybe I'll call them to ask if they at least went to the location. Also, what kind of phrasing is that? How many people say, I tried to impress upon the trooper? Weird. 8, I think they were Marlboro or at least a red and white box. The beer I think was Budweiser, but I'm not 100% positive. It's been a while. I'm pretty sure there was a lighter in there too. There was no ID in there as far as I remember. 9, secluded small patch of woods near the parking area, found near a large tree on the ground. Okay. Continuing the post here of folks, yes, it could have been a different backpack. I found the beer and the Marlboros interesting. When Maura was photographed with Waylon, there were Marlboros in front of her, but then again, they are a popular brand. It is possible that JWB found a different bag. It's just strange that he found a black backpack in the exact same spot as the one Tom did. And again, if it was frozen shut by the time it was found the second time, I mean, I guess it's theoretically possible if the spot was secluded enough and hidden from the wind, etc. I mean, I guess it's theoretically possible. I mean, it's just rough, though. I mean, if it really was enclosed on all sides by maybe giant rocks and trees, and it was like stuck into the ground, frozen into the ground from all the snow melts, I mean, that is rough. That is really rough. But again, what's the excuse for not getting it immediately? But just a couple more interesting details here from the original post I referenced about Jeffrey Strelzin being somewhat suspicious by retired NYPD. To be honest, I think Erin and Bill had something going on. 20 years later, and she devotes a podcast to a girl she only knew in passing, uses the podcast at every turn to clear Bill, and has struck up an odd friendship with the family of Maura, again, a girl she barely knew. This raises many red flags for me. And he didn't even reference the fact that she said she may have even driven by the staged accident scene and chose the name Gorilla Ontologist. And of course is involved in the DC Circle. I find it odd that Fred immediately said it wasn't Bill. Let him get on with his life. I'm sorry, but why would Fred try to clear anyone? And for me, Bill is the prime suspect. Another follow-up post here. Why is no one looking at Haas? He had relations with her. He was dumped by her when she returned to Bill. Maybe he was angry, humiliated, hurt, and wanted to get even. To me, he has suspect written all over him. Yet he gets a pass because he spoke to Renner, so he must be innocent. As far as Erin only knowing Maura in passing, Tim and Lance never met her at all. And again, I actually touched upon Haas and other potential boyfriends in the previous episode, so make sure you check that out. Another post here. I also think Haas should be examined closer. I also overlooked him initially with the case, but now I am not so sure. He actually had a lot to do with fueling the original theory of Maura running away, saying she would go to Mexico and such. Multiple members of the track team who Maura was known to have contact with before she went missing have remained silent and never went to search for her. MC on the track team is one of the last people Maura spoke to on the phone Saturday evening before she vanished. Yet we never hear anything else about her or from her. Wait, what? I actually don't even, where was this information sourced? Because I don't think, I don't remember seeing that being discussed. She talked to someone else on the track team on Saturday evening. So this is not Kate Markopoulos. This is one MC. Haas also frequently visited the cabin which Maura could have been planning to go or to meet up at. I have often speculated if some of the track team members were jealous of the relationship he had with Maura. Apparently, he also called Aaron and Kate into a meeting after Maura went missing. Okay, where is all this information coming from? Did Haas call a private meeting with just Aaron Larkin and Kate Markopoulos, separate from the Julie Lafreniere track team meeting with them? This is all very weird. Where did they get this info from? Wow, that's quite mind-shocking if true. Again, this is Reddit. This is the sham subreddit at that. So I don't know where they sourced this information. Another post here. Dang. So maybe perhaps Bill didn't cheat on Maura with Aaron, but perhaps Aaron was jealous of Maura's relationship with Haas. Aaron strikes me as the super jealous type. Seems like Maura was better at or got everything Aaron might have wanted. Both scenarios still point toward Aaron. I honestly don't think Haas had anything to do with it. He knew her, and Bill separated, they hooked up, then Maura got back with Bill. Can't imagine he'd get that jealous or anything over it, probably just figured whatever, it was good while it lasted type thing. Also, for all we know, Maura could have talked to Haas about wanting to get away. We have no proof that she didn't, so he might not have intentionally steered the narrative, just my thoughts. Okay, the other thing that's kind of weird, though, going back to Haas and him fueling the go to Mexico rumors, because police kind of jumped on that. Because they've made statements with that about Mexico. Like several law enforcement individuals have mentioned, that Maura's probably just in Mexico or something. Did they get that from Haas? Or did Haas get that from them? Another post by retired NYPD here. My feeling is that between Aaron, Kate, and Sarah, they knew Maura's plans. And Bill made 50 calls in the days leading up. I actually think it was more than 50. One or all three told him. Innocently, of course. He found her days later at that location. Now the three girls have a sense of guilt, and that's why you never hear from two of them. And Aaron gets close to the family and does a podcast basically saying it wasn't Bill. Don't look at Bill. How well did she even know Bill? And how the hell does she know what he did? She probably thinks he did it too and is worried that she lied to investigators. Other posts here. Sarah and Kate no doubt know something. What? We will never know. You can't claim amnesia at one questioning and have a perfect memory of events the next questioning. This will go nowhere until the state of New Hampshire makes it an official criminal investigation. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's still a cold case, missing persons case, is it not? Retired NYPD responds here. Yes, it is, and the problem is that all New Hampshire law enforcement is not investigating this fully. Now, is that because they are unqualified, or is it by design? That's a great question. How are the track friends not being grilled is beyond my comprehension. Those girls know where Maura was headed. No way in hell a 20-year-old girl just up and left. Sorry, but things don't work like that. Those girls told Bill Maura's destination. He called them over 50 times. What would be a reason to call frantically when prior to the date he never called her girlfriends? He was jilted, controlling boyfriend who was losing his grip. Again, is that verified that he never called Kate Markopoulos and Sarah, all those people, prior to that week? Because I don't think his phone records for the past year were released, but who knows. Those girls are quiet because they don't want to be deemed complicit in whatever happened to Maura. New Hampshire police probably asked them if they knew or told anyone about Maura's plans. They responded no, and the case was closed. Let's not forget that this case was mishandled from the beginning. Maura wasn't a local. The police chief was a drunk that crashed the car, switched with Cecil, and this was all lied about. This is why many believe the cops are involved, because of their evasiveness. The local police and DA don't want this solved, not because they're involved, but just because they botched it from day one and would have to admit the chief's crash. They switched cars, the cover-up, etc. If it's never solved, it's always a possible runaway. This is the reality that no one wants to admit. Billy Roush is getting away with this for all these reasons. Maura made it her destination, and Billy Roush was either not in Oklahoma, but already in the vicinity, which is a distinct possibility since his flight records were never confirmed, and the military base is very evasive about when he was granted leave. Billy Roush said that he left the base once to go to Europe to meet a girl, and that base never even knew he was missing. or he met up with her at her location in the days following and did the deed. A follow-up post here. I definitely think that the local police are withholding info for more reasons than one, but I have to disagree that it has anything to do with Williams crashing drunk. He's already been disgraced and removed from his position of authority when Cecil Smith busted him. Wouldn't law enforcement rather openly distance themselves from this loose cannon's behavior than have the public suspect they're protecting him for the death of a young girl? I don't think it's that simple, though, because if others are covering up from the chief, then they're complicit too. Even not necessarily knowingly. This is something coincidence theorists just really have a hard time with, just all that dissonance. But in most conspiracies, they're not intentionally covered up. People just follow orders and go along to get along. Why would anybody just randomly assume their superior's lying to them? They wouldn't. They would just go along with whatever. If Billy Roush did it as you suggest, I think it's more likely that the Army doesn't want them talking. If a local did it, I think it's likely that they know and are at a standstill. So there you have it, a comprehensive, exhaustive, logical look at the saga of the Black Backpack. I mean, it's just all so mind-shocking. I mean, this is truly a unique case. Literally any rabbit hole you go down, it's just simply not handled the way it's handled in any other case. And there's always all these unanswered questions, and it's impossible to nail anything down. I mean, it's just really bizarre. I mean, it reminds me also of the Bloody Knife and the Claude Moulton debacle. I mean, there's just so much in the Maura Murray case that simply does not add up. It is, of course, a coincidence theorist's dream. Hope you guys enjoyed another edition of the MINDSHOCK podcast in the Maura Murray series. If you want to help support the podcast, you can donate to our PayPal. Just check the link in the description. You can also become a YouTube member right here on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, like and share, Twitter, Facebook, Reddit, Patreon. Patrons do get priority for case topic, logical analysis, co-podcast, or requests. You can also be a guest on the podcast, depending on your tier. Questions, comments, theories, thoughts, suggestions, rebuttals, debunkings of any kind, leave them in the comment section. What does everybody out there think of this Black Backpack sighting, the near decade long it took to recover, and whether or not any DNA can currently be recovered from it? Because how would they be able to rule it out definitively after a near decade in the elements? This is Bruce McGuire signing off. Catch you guys next time.